What's happening, guys? Arouge here, and today we're talking about Chapter 7, the nervous system. So today's going to be just a brief rundown of how the nervous system is organized, and then the next video we're going to go over the different cell types that we find in the nervous system. So the nervous system can be broken down into 3 steps, 3 general ideas. First, we're going to have a sensory input. First, we're going to have something that is going into our nervous system, okay, some sort of stimulus. From that stimulus, our brain, which is the head honcho, right, it's the key player in the nervous system, our brain is going to integrate or interpret what does that stimulus mean. While it's having that integration process, it's going to determine a response. From there, we have a motor output, okay? Now, the motor output could be something voluntary, such as muscle contraction, or the motor output could be something involuntary, something such as like secreting saliva. Okay, so if I give you this, if I show you cupcakes, the sensory input is going to go to your brain. It's going to integrate that, and the motor output may be something involuntary, like telling your mouth to start to salivate. Okay, so the motor output could be voluntary or involuntary. And we'll see how that relates in a few more slides, okay? So sensory input gathers information, it monitors the stimuli, and then we go to integration. Integration processes and interprets that information and decides what to do with that information. It decides the next step. Then we have the motor output. That is a response, okay? Another way we could think of this, another example, would be if you're driving and you're stopped at a red light and that light turns green. What's that sensory input? The light turning green. That information is going to go to your brain and it's going to integrate that. It's going to process that information and determine what to do next. From there, you have your motor output, which would simply be step on the gas. Okay? Muscle of your right foot applies pressure to the gas pedal. Okay? So how is the nervous system organized? Well, there's 2 different classifications. We have structural classifications and we have functional classifications. Structural is based on the structures, and functional is based on what it does or the activities, okay, of that division. So there's only one nervous system. However, the nervous system is so complicated, we can actually categorize it in different ways, okay? So up here, we have the central nervous system and we have the peripheral nervous system. We categorize these 2 systems based on structures. The structures of the central nervous system, or the CNS, is the brain and spinal cord. Okay, those are the structures that make it unique. The peripheral nervous system are the brain and spinal nerves. We group these 2 based on those structures. Okay. Now, what about functional classification? Well, everything else is going to be categorized based on the function, based on what they do. So, for example, the sensory or afferent division sends information to the peripheral nervous system, which then relays it to the central nervous system. Okay? So the sensory or afferent division, its function is to send information in. The motor division or the efferent division, its function, its job is to send that information out. Okay? We'll get into these other divisions later in just a few moments, okay? Okay. So, this is the slide that we're talking about, or this is the division, central nervous system, the CNS. Why is it grouped as the CNS? It's because it's the brain and spinal cord, okay? Its function is the main command center and interprets the incoming information, okay? But we group this based on the structures, the brain and spinal cord. It also issues outgoing instructions that'll go back down spinal cord and out the spinal nerves. the peripheral nervous system. This is the cranial nerves and the spinal nerves, okay? This is grouped based on those structures as well, okay? The cranial nerves here and the spinal nerves branching off the spinal cord. That's the peripheral nervous system. Okay, now we go to the functional classifications. Talking about the sensory or afferent division, this is simply nerves carrying information towards the peripheral nervous system, which will then send it to the central nervous system. Okay? So sensory division sends information in. You'll find these fibers in your skin, skeletal muscles, joints, anything that's going to sense the outside environment to send information in. And if this helps you remember, sensory is afferent. Think of afferent as the word affect. Okay? If something is going to affect you, it is going to happen to you. Okay? It's going to happen, an affect. Okay? Another word is effect. What were the effects, okay, of something? That's like the word efferent. This is the outcome of something, okay? So for the motor or efferent division, this is the signals leaving the central nervous system. They send impulses away. Where are they going? It's either going to go to a muscle or to a gland, okay? Now, if you look at the motor or efferent division, there's two branches it could go to. That information could go down the somatic or voluntary division, or it can go down the autonomic or involuntary division. We'll see what those two are right now. Okay, so this slide we're talking about the somatic and the autonomic division. They're both of them are subdivisions of the motor division, okay? So somatic is voluntary. If I tell you to do a bicep curl, you can control that. You could say, no, I'm not going to. Or you can do bicep curls all day long. That is completely at your discretion, okay? It's voluntary. Or your heartbeat, for example, is not voluntary. We call that the autonomic nervous system. You cannot directly control your heartbeat. You cannot say, heart, beat faster, or heart, beat slower. You can do things that make it speed up, or you can relax and do things to make it slow down, but you cannot directly control your heartbeat. You also can't control your smooth muscles, okay? So your digestive organs. You can't tell your stomach to digest food. That's part of your autonomic nervous system, okay? And that's involuntary. However, if we look at the autonomic nervous system, there's two other divisions. There's two other divisions that branch off from the autonomic nervous system. We have the parasympathetic and we have the sympathetic. Okay? We'll see what the parasympathetic and the sympathetic are in the next slide. Okay. The parasympathetic nervous system. I want you to think of this as rest and digest. This is your body's brake pedal. What the parasympathetic nervous system does is it tells your body, hey, we're safe, we're relaxed. Calm down, conserve energy. Start to digest that last meal. So when the parasympathetic nervous system is stimulated, your smooth muscles start to be stimulated. They start to digest the last meal that you had. You're calm. You're not in danger, okay? The other division is the sympathetic nervous system. This is your fight or flight response, okay? So what this does is this arouses the body and starts to mobilize energy. for stressful situations. This is your body's gas pedal, okay? So, let's say you're walking along and all of a sudden you see a lion. What is your response going to be? Your heart rate's going to go faster. Your oxygen intake, your breathing is going to accelerate. Your body's trying to take in as much oxygen as possible. Okay? What's going to happen to your digestive organs that are part of the parasympathetic? If you're stressed out, what's going to happen to the smooth muscles? Those are going to be understimulated. Your body doesn't want to digest that food because it's thinking about surviving this immediate threat, surviving this immediate danger. Okay? So your muscles, they're more primed for contractions. Your breathing is increased. Your heart rate's increased. Okay? You're being stressed. Parasympathetic, rest and digest. It's a nice, beautiful day. There's no lions out. There's no threats. Let's calm down. Bring your heart rate down. Let's digest that last meal. Okay? So that's the parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system. Rest and digest. It's your body's brake pedal. Slow down. Sympathetic is fight or flight. That's your body's gas pedal. There's a stressor. There's an immediate danger. We need to survive it. Okay? So let's either fight it off or flight. Let's take off. All right, that is it for today, folks, and I'll catch you all next time. Peace.